anticipating that Chief Rogowski will be here to do a presentation to you guys on the on his proposal for the.
Here he is.
There he
There he
is.
is.
Perfect.
Good for you.
On time.
Drum roll.
Yeah, right on the minute.
Anyway, so here are hard copies of Chief Rogowski's proposal for the replacement of engine 4. When we get set up, so right now as we stand, the Board of Selectmen have scheduled a special meeting for December 4th. In talking, special town meeting for December 4th. I've talked with the finance team about this, and basically right now, that timing does not work with them at all, with setting the tax rate, getting the bills out. It's just, it's gonna be a bad time to try to get it done. So I've sent an email to the board and talked to them individually about, about pushing that date off until possibly mid-March. So that way, because I know one of the primary things on their agenda is gonna be the marijuana bylaws and try to redevelop that. Originally, we were looking at November 13th to try to go for a special town meeting, but I don't think that extra 3 weeks is really gonna give them enough, that extra time that they really need to develop the bylaws that they're looking at. So that's kind of where we're standing right now. They still have to take formal action. As it stands, it's set for the 6th, but.
The 6th of
December.
December.
Yeah, and the bills go out, I'm sorry, the 4th of December.
Oh, well, yeah.
The bills go out the 6th of December, and before then, they need to have a approved tax rate. So, and they need all of the votes that year in order to do it, or else the tax rate gets delayed until the second billing, or the next billing, which is basically, you'd see a gigantic spike in the rate,
Yeah.
so we don't wanna see that. Plus with the new treasurer.
Yeah, how are we doing on that? Did we found one?
So we have a new assistant collector starting on Monday. Mary McCowski, she was in here on Monday to be confirmed, so she starts next Monday. The closing of the treasurer collector position is next Monday. Right now we have a few applicants, a few that might be potential fits. So we'll see how the interview process pans out. After, I still have to kind of figure out how we wanna approach the interview process when it gets to that. So we'll be on that.
So you're proposing a special, pushing it off to March?
Yeah, possibly around March 12th. Or I'm sorry, not March 12th. It's maybe March 12th. Second Tuesday in March.
That
whatever
this year's
that day that
calendar?
is.
Oh, we changed the calendar? We actually got a new one?
Oh,
looks
we've
like
got
it's
one
in
that's got
January.
2 years.
Yeah.
It's got 2 years
Oh
on
my
it.
gosh.
That would give us enough time to be able to, you know, the
Should.
select board can do what they have to do. We don't really have to worry about that time span between when the end of that moratorium is and the special town meeting with somebody trying to sneak an application in there and saying that they were grandfathered. But it also gives them enough, and it's before the election, so that way it's, you know, it's the same board, we know it's gotta be the same board. And, it's still plenty of time before the annual town meeting that we can still take up, annual business. So,
Okay.
I think it'll work. Anyway, that's all right.
Chief, you're on.
All right, so, again, you kind of said, fire engine 4 needs to be replaced, so made a little presentation just on some of the issues. Currently, the fire department has four fire engines. Engine 5 and Engine 1 are at Station 2 down in South Barry, and Engine 4 and Engine 6 are up in the center of town. You know, you can see the average age of our engines right now is 21 and a half years old. Engine 5 is the oldest truck, it's a 1990. It got a 100% refurbishment in 2004, and it got a new pump in 2008, so it's actually in better shape than Engine 4, which is, you know, 9 years newer. Engine 6 is an engine tanker. It carries a large amount of water, but it's also got a pump and seating for 4. That, we had a town meeting article back at the annual town meeting to get it repaired, refurbished, so it's going actually in a couple of weeks up to New Hampshire to get the pump redone and some of the corrosion on the body, but the truck's in pretty decent shape, considering it's, 23 years old now, and almost 23, 22. And then engine one, we just got back in January 2007, we bought it used to replace the engine one because the motor cracked, and that was in 1987 that we replaced it with. So the town hasn't purchased a brand new fire engine since 1999, when we got engine four. The NFPA recommendation for frontline apparatus is 15 years. That's not just for body, but for technology upgrades and stuff. And then they do recommend any apparatus over 25 years, again, it's a recommendation, be replaced. Some people in town, I think, get a little confused when they see a fire engine. They all kind of look the same, but all four of our trucks are actually designed differently. They all have their own specific job. So when you buy a fire truck, there's a lot of planning that goes into it, and every fire truck made, they truly are custom built from the ground up, custom for your community. So all of our trucks have a different purpose, they're all a little bit different. Engine one is a decent truck, we got it used. We actually were able to find we got a pretty good deal on it. It's got some limitations, it wasn't perfect for Barry, but it was the best that was out there on the market. One of the other issues we run into with fire engines, obviously they've gotten a lot bigger over the years since, back in when we first started buying motorized fire apparatus in the 20s. When we buy a truck, we have length and width and height restrictions due to the fire station. So a lot of manufacturers make, I don't wanna call them stock trucks, but they'll build a large number of trucks that are the same height and same length, and then the departments can kind of customize the compartments and the pump. We can't do that because they don't make trucks that meet our height and length requirements. So that requires more customization. The more you customize a truck, the more that drives the price up a little bit. Engine four, just like I said, we bought it in 1999. It just carries 1,000 gallons of water. It's got a 1,500 gallon per minute pump. It's got foam on it. It does carry a set of the Jaws of Life, seating for 6. It responds to any call in the center of town and in the center of Barry, the Station 1 district, we call it. We split the town in half, so if there's a minor call, a car accident, a minor car accident with people that are trapped, a power line down, a telephone pole fire, a car fire, dumpster fire, anything kind of minor in nature. If it's in South Barry, the truck from Station 2 goes, and the South Barry firefighters respond. If it's in the center of town, the Station 1 firefighters and that truck responds. Any fire, house fire, or any major rescue call, somebody in the water, or a car accident with people trapped in it, both stations go. So engine 4 is the truck that gets used the most. It's kind of why it's got somewhat the most amount of corrosion and stuff that it does. And since January 1st of 2017, it's gone to over 275 calls. It goes out once or at least 2 or 3 times a week. So some of the known problems we have, back in May, it went for its annual inspection sticker, and it failed due to frame rot. So that we were very fortunate the DPW mechanic took it for a couple days, put it on the lift. He was able to fix what it failed for. He made some temporary repairs. How long they're gonna last, I don't wanna say the truck will pass again, I don't know. It did pass this year, so a lot of the compartment lights don't work, and it's just wiring that's corroded, and in order to fix it would take taking a lot of the truck apart, taking the body apart to track down the wires. The heat control's broken, so the heat's always on in the cab, which isn't very fun in the summertime. The front intake, so one thing, engine 4 was designed because only, especially in the center of town, a small area has the fire hydrants. Once you get out to the outskirts of town, we use the truck a lot to suck water out of a pond or a river for firefighting, so the truck has an intake in the front, so to make it easier to nose in versus trying to pull the truck sideways. That intake doesn't work consistently. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It's constantly being repaired. It works for a few days and then it stops working. And that's really a major feature of the truck that we bought last time. The rear passenger window doesn't work. It's always up, so when the heat's on and it's hot out, it's up. There's pretty severe corrosion on all the compartment doors. The truck actually went The truck was manufactured by Pierce, it's a fire truck manufacturer, and in 2006 or 7, it went back to the dealer, and they replaced all of the compartment doors due to corrosion. So the doors are new since 2006, and they're all corroded again. There's rod holes in the compartment, which allows road debris, road salt, water from the road to get thrown into the compartments where we have some pretty expensive equipment. The equipment's getting damaged and it's requiring constant maintenance because, it's not protected from the elements. All the valves in the fire pump leak. When you turn the pump on, there's a bunch of hoses that are pre-connected. A lot of them get filled with water, so we constantly have to, after a few times, drain them, repack them. The main pump packing leaks, so when the pump's engaged, a lot of water spills on the ground, and in the wintertime with ice, it's, makes for some slippery conditions. The piping of the pump is pretty corroded. It could fail. We actually had a failure last week where one of the lines that goes from the pump to the tank, that's how you fill the tank with water, it leaked by and the piping just corroded and there was a hole in it. It required the DPW mechanic again to make some repairs. The drain valves don't work, so when we do charge a hose or something, when we use the pump, we can't get all the water out, and in the winter, that can lead to freezing and cause damage. A lot of the lines have been replaced already. We're very fortunate, the DPW mechanic's pretty talented, so a lot of these repairs in other departments that don't have a mechanic as good as we do are pretty expensive. By the time you pay if you send it to the manufacturer, they're probably getting $125 an hour shop rate. And then you have to drive the truck, and there aren't really any that are that close within 2-hour drive. So we're pretty fortunate that the DPW mechanic makes a lot of these repairs, so.
Very fortunate, yeah.
A lot of these repairs haven't been costly. We're just paying the mechanic his time, and the parts are pretty easily available versus some of these other departments I know that have these issues. They pay some substantial money to get these repaired because they're not as, I'd say not as fortunate to have a mechanic like we got.
Chief, could I interrupt you just a second? But I mean, the thing it seems like these things should be made out of stainless steel. Why?
That's where the proposal of the truck that I wanna buy.
Yeah,
The standard now is stainless steel.
okay.
But in 1999,
It wasn't.
it wasn't. Everything was just steel or iron
Wow.
pipe. Now, it's
Yeah.
stainless steel. That obviously drives the cost of the truck up,
Sure.
but over the, if that
Well, yeah,
adds
but if it
extra
lasts for another
years.
10 years, what? Right.
There was a specific issue with this year of truck,
Yeah.
Yes.
with Pierce.
It's like a Ford
My-
with certain transmissions.
It's funny because, but the department that I'm part of has a 98 Pierce, same model, same everything.
Mm.
Doesn't have these corrosion problems. But other departments have had these corrosion problems, so it's all a matter of which batch of steel you got.
Oh, the
What-
Chinese steel.
So
I
so
see.
Pierce recognized that this truck got some bad steel. That's why they replaced
Oh,
all the
okay.
compartment doors.
Well, that explains some of it. then,
But-
yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they replaced the
Mm.
doors and not the frame rails and the undercarriage.
Mm. Okay.
So you can see, the truck has failed so far this year 4 times. When a call came in, when the guys went to get on the truck, it either didn't start or something severe broke enough that we weren't able to use the truck on that call. So far, for 2018, it's been out of service for 7 total days, meaning if there was an emergency or fire in those 7 days, it wasn't able to respond. Last year, it was at a house fire, and when they went to engage the pump, it actually shut off and failed. And fortunately, we were able to fix the issue without having any more real damage to the house. We were able to put the fire out pretty quick, but, had it not been able to be fixed, it would have been 2 or 3 more minutes before the Southbury truck had gone on scene to be able to put water onto the fire. It is a 99, so parts are becoming harder to get, and the harder they get, the more expensive they become. And a lot of most fire trucks are truly custom. So some of the parts, once the manufacturer sells out, they have to be custom made, and that gets expensive. I just threw some pictures of the compartment doors, and you can see the corrosion. I mean, we do the best we can at keeping them clean.
Might be tough with your copies, but if you want to have a
Well,
copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, black and white.
I believe it. I see it.
And then, on the interior compartments, which was a major issue because we carry
Yeah.
life safety equipment, expensive equipment, it's getting damaged inside the truck. You can, I got the colored pictures where you can just see the corrosion to the inside of the truck.
Yeah.
Because the road salt, the water, you know, is getting inside.
Hmm.
The subframe,
Yeah.
pictures, you can just see, I mean, it's,
Yeah, bad.
Yeah.
it's corroded.
What does that truck have that engine 6 doesn't, that we could, you'd be using engine 6 instead of this
So engine
rust
six,
bucket?
engine six is our tanker, and that carries a water bag, and that truck's designed to move water, so,
Okay.
you know, I'll take. for
Jaws of
instance-
life and stuff are on the other truck, is that it?
So it has a pump, it has hose, but it has very limited equipment because it's mostly got a water tank on it. So the whole
Okay.
truck's basically it holds 3,000 gallons of water. And
Okay.
we use that truck, we put the water bag down and it dumps the water into it and it goes and gets more water. Well, this truck would suck the water out of that bag to fight the fire.
I see.
So we
Okay.
can use engine six, and
Mm.
we have used it when this truck fails as a fire
Sure,
truck, but
sure.
then we lose, not only do we lose an attack engine, we lose our tanker.
Mm.
And then, you know, we have to wait for Hubbardston,
Yeah,
Rockham, and
yeah.
Braintree, which they get here quick, but it's still a
Mm.
15, 20-minute response.
Good.
And then, you know, you can see the, I don't know how detailed, you can see it, but there's holes in the bottom of the compartments, I just included some of those pictures, holes in some of the subframes. Some of the issues we've run into, because some of the subframe is corroded, it's become sharp edges. The wiring that runs next to it, it rubs it, and that's some of the wiring issues we've had. A lot of that's been able to be repaired. There's a substantial air leak that we haven't been able to track down yet, it's somewhere deep in the bowels of the truck. So we have to have a air chuck. We made this little custom air chuck that sits on the outside of the truck that keeps it plugged. If we took that air chuck, that is designed to use an air compressor to keep the air tank filled. If we take that off, we'll lose the air pressure, and we can't, you know, have a braking system on the truck.
You convinced me, we need a new one.
Yeah, so like I said, we're
It's just how you
fortunate.
finance.
Yeah.
So anyway, I
Yeah.
kind of handled the finance aspect of this, and part of their 5-year projection there on 2020, I included what we received from our financial advisor as to what the impact would be if we went for a 10-year ban on, kind of like what we did with the equipment, if we took out a loan and then paid off over 10 years. She provided basically what would be kind of like the very conservative effort, or amount, and this is also without any supplementation of the grant funding that we received from the state. So it's basically on average about $65,000 per year financing. And I know it's projected numbers, but just using kind of like the 2% increase and assuming that we have generally level funded budgets throughout, we're just about right on target as far as what it would be for the next year without any without even supplementing the budget with that, with the state aid. So, you know, as you go down, the numbers get less accurate because it's just a guess. So you know, when you see it, you know, a projected deficit in year 3 or 4, those numbers might be easily compensated depending on how revenues and how our expenditures go. But I do think that, given the short-term forecast, that it's definitely a feasible aspect.
And that's for total amount of what?
Total amount, so that's based off of a total amount of $500,000 estimated cost. I know that Chief has done some work as far as reaching out to a few vendors. You received one firm
Right.
quote, and that was it for $485,000.
And the truck, so I've met with a
Yeah.
few truck manufacturers, and we're really just looking for a basic truck. The one thing it's about an $8,000 to $10,000 upcharge. You can get trucks now in stainless steel. The bodies are stainless steel, the plumbing stainless steel.
Yeah.
Depending on which manufacturer you go with, you're looking between an $8,000 to $10,000.
That's out of a $500,000 unit, you're talking
Yeah.
10 grand
That's
for
no
stainless?
brainer.
And with one of the.
You gotta do it.
It's a no-brainer, right?
And
Yeah.
with one of the trucks, if you get the stainless steel truck for the extra 10 grand, it comes with a 25-year frame rail corrosion warranty, 20-year frame component corrosion warranty,
There you go.
20-year structural warranty. So I think that,
Worth it, Chief.
20 years, 20 years structural warranty. So I think that,
It's worth it, Chief. 20 years, 20 years structural warranty.
some departments have a replacement policy where they buy a new engine, it gets
Yeah.
replaced every 10 years.
The
I
cities
think
and-
we're really looking for a truck that's gonna last 25 years.
Mhm.
So I think the stainless steel is the way
See,
to
in
go.
in other words, if the thing didn't rot out, engine-wise, et cetera,
Transmission, the truck's great.
so that, okay, so that makes
mechanically,
sense then.
The truck's fine. The one thing, if it wasn't for the corrosion, the pump could be redone for
Right.
probably 10 to 15,000. It could be dropped, and that's just a standard maintenance
Yeah.
thing. Again, one thing that kind of raises the price a little bit is we have to keep the truck
Size,
shorter than
yeah.
30 feet, and it has to be shorter than 9.6. And a lot of the trucks now, if you've
They have
seen
a-
fire trucks, they're
They have a
getting,
bump up in
they're
the
getting
crew.
longer and bigger
Yeah.
because people are putting more and more equipment on them. So for us to get the truck the size we need, it does require a little more customization than if we were able to call up the manufacturer and say, hey, one of your spec trucks, and then design it from there, because they build 10 of them at a
Yeah.
time. And it's a substantial savings to buy that truck, but I haven't found a company that makes one under 30 feet or under 9.6 in height. So that's kind of where that's at. Keeping the specs the same, the truck would be pretty much identical to engine 4 now, with
Okay.
just a couple different upgrades. We're not looking for any bells or whistles, just a basic truck with a front intake, seating for 5. There's a couple of new technology type things with the pump, obviously everything has computers in them now, they have
Yeah,
black
yeah,
boxes in them now.
for sure.
So, there's nothing we can do about that. I did look last year, when we received engine 1, the company we bought engine 1 from sent out one of their, bodywork guys to deliver the truck, and I had him look at engine 4, and he gave me a price. He said it would be a minimum of $250,000 to have it refurbished, to get the corrosion cleaned up, redo the pump, redo the wiring. And I don't really think it's cost effective to spend 50% more than the replacement cost. A lot of companies won't even refurbish a truck if the refurbishment cost is more than 50% of a replacement. So, I mean, to get it fixed for 200,000+, I don't think that's
Still got a
worth,
truck that's old.
I don't think that's worth
No.
a good way to spend
Yeah.
money. Like I
Now,
said,
you mentioned the grant. Did-
So we received $25,000 from the
Okay,
state
yeah.
as part of the FY19 budget to supplement, the, the replacement of our fire apparatus. And I know originally when we were looking at it, we were talking about, possibly going for a forestry, but, at least when the initial grant, or initial request went out, but we highlighted the fact that we have these other issues coming up as well. So they put in the initial request very vague, saying that it was for equipment maintenance upgrades rather than pointing to a specific use. So when we did finally get a portion from the state, it was clear at that point that this was the piece of apparatus that we need to focus on.
Okay, that takes care of your stainless steel
Yeah,
charge,
I was just
basically.
thinking the same
And
thing.
So,
Yeah.
There's really only, a lot of people look at grants, there's really only one grant available to fire departments to fund such a large purchase like this, and that's the Assessors to Firefighter grant. The last 2 years, we put in to replace engine 4. Unfortunately, when they fund that grant, there's categories, and the fire truck category is the least funded, and it's clearly the most expensive item, so
Yeah.
we're competing with Fall Rivers and, cities
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
the trucks do far greater number, and they look at the best bang for the buck. So if
Yeah.
a truck in Lawrence or Fall River is gonna do 2,000 or 3,000 calls a year, and our truck's gonna do 200.
yeah, yeah.
It's tough for us to compete. I mean, we put in for them. The grant's actually opening up for it's the FY18 grant opens next week. We're gonna try again.
Doesn't hurt to try.
We
Way
try,
to go.
I mean, and the government does have military trucks when they're done with them. We've been pursuing that avenue to potentially,
How about, what do they have, a buffalo over there or something?
they got
Protect it?
a,
Medical emergency, September 20th, 2018, 6, 25 PM, District NUP.
there's they got an old military deuce and a half for brush fires.
Yeah. Oh, but they got a big tank though.
It's got a big water, it's got a water tank. It's really designed to go in the woods. So we're trying we're pursuing other avenues.
Could
too,
that
but-
be the forest truck you were talking about?
Yep,
Yeah.
and those do come up, and some of those require, a lot of work. But we have been pursuing as many avenues as we can to get the trucks replaced. And we still have engine 5, which is a 1990. It's in semi-decent shape, in better shape than engine 4.
How long to get this new truck, chief, to replace it?
So from the day the contract is signed, it's 300 days. So it's
almost
so
a year.
almost a year.
So they build it for you?
When I tell you it's built custom from the frame up, it's built
Yeah.
it's truly a one-of-a-kind truck when you custom order it.
Are there local shops that build them? I mean, in New England, being local?
I know one manufacturer builds them in upstate New York, the stainless steel plant's in upstate New York.
Mhm.
So some trucks are made, the manufacturers,
Yeah.
the dealers do a lot of the work too, so we have 3 or 4 local dealers in Mass, one's in North Attleboro, one's in Hopkinton,
Yeah.
there's one in Connecticut, New Hampshire. They do
Yeah.
some of the work, but most of them are not built in New England.
Mm.
They're built down south or out in the Midwest.
Okay, good.
We have, the other we can do is, the state bid list. So most of the fire trucks, manufacturers have trucks on the state bid list, which you can purchase without having to actually go out and physically bid it. And then
Mm.
I think you get the exact truck that you want, and then, from 300 days from when that contract's signed, give or take a couple days, it takes to get the truck, so, I mean. it's
And
gonna
when do
take
you
a year
start
from
paying
now.
for it?
Well, it depends on which financing options you go with. They do have lease purchase programs from the manufacturers where it's basically just a vehicle loan you get from the manufacturer company.
Roughly 4.5%, I think was 12-year option. But I think with 12-year, you only end up spending maybe 5,000 less not even 5,000 less per year than you would by just rolling a ban for 10.
Yeah.
Basically.
So, but you have to pay 2 more years.
And you have to pay 2 more
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
If you pay cash up front, there's a substantial savings that way too, so.
Can
it is-
imagine.
That's
Yeah.
what we're thinking is,
Mm.
if we have the if we have $25,000 and we just gave it to them as a down payment, possibly that might help the amount of money that we would have to finance on it, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, there is numerous options. A lot of the truck company, manufacturers don't really wanna talk about numbers until, cause there is a lot of time on their behalf. They don't really like to talk a ton of numbers until they know you're pretty
Yeah.
serious about buying a truck.
So what needs to get done to move this there?
So in order to move this, what we'll have to do is basically have your support, have the Board of Selectmen support, get this onto the town meeting. The next town meeting warrants to authorize the debt, to basically authorize us to go into debt to purchase this. It's not a 2.5% override, because we'll have to fit it underneath, but we will have to
Right.
seek the town meeting's approval in order to incur debt.
And there is gonna be some trade-in value on the truck, maybe $5,000 or $10,000.
For
But
Rust.
basically, you can-
Iron
you
oxide.
can,
At
like,
least it's
pre-write up what
something
you
you get
want
for
and
it,
and
right?
discuss it with them and,
I've already done that,
Okay.
just because I really kinda wanted a figure price.
yeah,
And
right.
so
right.
I met with 3 companies, 2 of them are right around the 465, 485. One is quite a bit higher. There are a few that would be quite a bit lower, but one item I like to stay with the truck is sole source manufacturer. So that means the company builds everything on the truck. Some fire truck companies, they make a standard cab,
The chassis.
like a tractor trailer truck cab,
Yeah,
and then they just build the body, and then ultimately in the long run, if something happens in the cab,
somebody else's fault.
the body manufacturer points the finger that
Yeah,
way.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
sure.
And I'm not saying they're not good trucks.
No, I agree with the chief,
Yeah.
that makes
Those
a
are
lot
more
of
trucks
sense.
that, a
Yeah.
lot of people buy those
Yeah.
trucks for 10 years. The departments that have a 10-year replacement,
Gone.
they're cheaper.
Yeah.
They buy them, but they know they're having them for 10 years, so when they start to act up, it's right around
Yeah.
that 10-year mark. I think where we're buying a truck for 25 years plus, we need to stick with sole
Yeah.
source,
Right.
And then when something's wrong, it's, hey, this is wrong, you need to fix it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
We have two E1, it's just a brand, trucks already. The ladder truck and engine one in South Barry are that brand. I'd like to try to stick, because a lot of the parts are still the same. So kinda makes sense to me if we have three of the same truck, and then the parts are kinda universal. I'm not saying we have to stick with that brand, but that was one of the companies I looked at.
Does it, what you want, are they able to do?
They can do that. I met with KME's, just another brand, Seagrave. This truck was made by Piers. I was gonna meet with them as well, so we can try to get the more trucks we meet with, the better the competitive price. So
Yep.
try to get it as
Mhm.
exactly what we want and need, as low a price as we can.
Engine and transmission wise, there's no,
They're all the same.
All the same.
They all build it, they all pretty much use the same engine as transmission.
Just
With the-
Cummings, you mean, like?
With the new emission standards, there's only
oh, right.
one
Right.
person one Cummins is the only one right now. I think Detroit Diesel might just be coming back
Yeah,
out on
but
the
those,
way.
those are fly-by-night companies, those two companies. Those are good companies.
Yeah, and
So it
the
doesn't-
motors they put in the fire trucks are the same ones they put in the over-the-road. Those are just standard.
Mhm.
The pumps the pump itself's pretty standard.
Good.
I mean, they make, so I looked at the stainless steel pumps, what they come with warranties, and, you know, to me, what you get in the warranties are worth the extra couple of bucks in the long run of the truck. And engine four, the town's had it since 1999, it's been a good truck, it's been to a lot of calls, it's saved millions of dollars in property damage, so it's paid for itself. I think in 1999, engine four cost $240,000.
Amazing, huh? Double.
Yeah, and they say
Amazing.
every year, the truck companies say there's a 2 to 3% increase,
Yeah, well,
and that's just the cost
Yeah.
of doing businesses, they
Yeah.
say, I guess.
Hmm.
We're lucky enough to get a good deal on a good ladder truck because, I know one of our neighboring communities spent about $1.2 million on a good ladder truck,
Sure.
so,
yeah.
And
versus $200,000.
Oh, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
And some of the trucks, once you start, some of the departments locally that have gotten trucks around us have spent around 600,000.
Yeah.
And, you know, they got some bells and whistles that, I don't wanna call them bells and whistles, but they got features that we don't
Yeah.
need here, as like a generator and a foam system. So
Mm.
500,000 is about an average
Mhm.
price by the time you have the radios installed, the lettering.
Yeah,
Cause that 485 price I got doesn't include installing our radio systems, installing the flashlights and all the stuff inside the truck. It's just for the truck, painted
now,
and
do
lettered.
these people do that for you?
Yes.
Will they do that for you?
Yep,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
when the truck's made, it's made most of, like I said, out west or down in the south, they drive it up to the local dealer in Massachusetts. That local dealer letters it, and then anything you want mounted, like the radios and flashlights,
He does
and they do that. Obviously, that comes with, they don't do it for free.
No, but I mean, you got, somebody knows what they're doing,
Yeah.
Yep.
responsible.
Yep, and
Beautiful.
then when it's warranted, you know, if there's a warranty issue, it's gotta go. And like I said, most of them are within a 2-hour drive, but
Oh, that's
still
good.
2 hours.
Mm.
Sounds good.
And once engine 6 gets fixed up, you know, next month when it goes, that truck will probably last, I mean, that's a good truck, and it's in pretty good shape. It doesn't do nearly the amount of calls that this truck does, so, cause it's just designed differently, so that will last for, you know, quite a few more years. The engine 1 was the truck we got in 2017, the used truck. When we bought it, we were able to have some of that refurbished as well, so the company was able to clean up some of the corrosion, and they fixed up some of the issues, so that truck will probably last quite a bit more. And then next, I'm trying to work on getting engine 5 replaced with a military surplus truck or with something else,
Mhm.
rather than come back and ask for another 500,000 for another engine. But the way we have it set up with the 4 really makes a big difference for us with the town.
Mm.
Sounds good.
Do we need a motion to?
We can't make
you
any
guys-
Can't
votes.
Yeah,
until-
no, you guys don't have.
Yeah,
a
we
vote.
can't make a motion.
Oh, we
until-
don't require.
But
No.
if we don't have, we've got plenty of time to act on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
We have any other, people that wanna be on the finance committee,
Well,
or?
we had one
Well,
more
we've got
person
one.
added.
Oh,
On that, I didn't hear anything about why she Wasn't
She sent me an
Who is it?
email this afternoon.
Okay.
She was upset she couldn't make it, but there was a program going on at the Quabbin
Okay.
for juniors, and she had to be there with her son, and her other son was going to football, and the coach that took him for a ride
Well,
couldn't
thankfully
take
we're
him,
not-
so.
Thankfully, we're not in the
She
last
said,
moments here.
next meeting,
Yeah.
she told them they're gonna have to walk.
Well, at least
She's
we're
doing
gonna
her
be just
thing.
giving you guys some stuff to chew on for tonight.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah.
Bob, do we have to do any work on the doors
What's
for
the
the
name of
fire
this
station, fit this
Jennifer
in or
started.
anything like that?
It's not the,
She's
it's not the doors,
one
it's
of the
the
younger
structure
people.
itself.
She's
Yeah.
got
We've modified the
I
doors
had,
as much as they
in her
can be
days,
changed.
I
You know,
saw
it's just
a
the
picture on
brick
the
walls
Facebook
and the roof,
So-
the ceiling thing. And we're not the only ones, you know, you go around
And I-
New England and you go to the cities that have firehouses built from the 1900s, they're in the
Same.
same predicament we are.
Or even any town that has a low bridge,
Yeah,
your
that's
truck
true.
can't be any taller than the lowest bridge in town.
That's true.
So, how much higher is a quote, normal fire truck now? A lot?
A lot of engines are 10 feet or higher. So, you know, 10 feet is the standard size,
That's a
Height
big
truck.
door. It's a big door, 10 feet.
so we have to have it 9.6 is our height. And a majority of the trucks built are 31 plus feet long. I mean, they're building big trucks. So, because that's what a majority of the market wants, when they build stock trucks, where they build 10 at a time and just kind of have them sitting there, they're building 31 plus foot trucks because that's what the majority of the people are buying, that's the majority of the share. And, you know, fire truck market's not a very large market, pretty limited, so.
Right.
And then some truck manufacturers will build stock trucks, but they don't put 1,000 gallons of water. A lot of the cities don't carry a lot of water because they have fire hydrants.
Yeah, right, everywhere, yeah.
We don't have that, so we require a bigger water tank, which isn't as common in the departments that are buying a lot of trucks either, so.
The tank also would be stainless, right?
The tanks are plastic.
Or they're plastic,
Yep, they're like a high-density urethane, and they're guaranteed for life.
yeah.
All our trucks now have is the plastic tanks.
Looks good.
Great. Very
Thank you
nice.
very much for all the
Yes.
work, chief.
No problem.
Excellent job.
Thank you. Any other questions? Feel free to stop by the station, check it out.
Check out the rust.
Thing is, now that they're stainless, you don't wanna
Put your
paint 'em.
finger in
Leave
the
them
rust.
shine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Gotta be rid
I don't know why they didn't make stainless trucks 20 years ago, or they might have, and they might have been substantially more
Yeah.
money, but
That might have been the deal
in the
Maybe a lot
Northeast
more.
now, a lot of the departments that are buying trucks up here are buying
with that.
stainless steel because of the rolls off. Down south in the Midwest,
Hmm.
they don't have the same issue with the corrosion.
I bet you
Yeah,
just
we do.
working with the steel, bending it and all of that, and welding it and all of that probably was an issue.
Yeah, technology
Yeah.
is good now. So, that's it. Any other
Oh,
questions?
good, no, great, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We'll have some supper.
It's about time.
I have a copy of last year's, message that went out to all the department
Okay,
heads.
yeah.
Yeah, poke through it, cross it up, figure out what
Okay.
you guys wanna say this year, if there's anything else, obviously the numbers. The budget forecast numbers will be a little bit different, but, just looking to see what you guys,
Mhm.
what you guys want. Last page is the schedule, so you look at the calendar, see how you guys wanna bring people in.
One of the things I was thinking of, just jotting some notes down. In terms of the budget, what I call the list of the dollars, you know, give us that form. But I'm thinking that, I think I'd like to see a little discussion, okay? And so basically, planned work for the year. And I was thinking you have recurring jobs and recurring projects and new, okay? So if you're a department, like we gotta check all forms, fine, that's what you do, okay? And that's all your discussion would be. If there's something new that you would have to do, all right? Might not impact this year, might, well, for next year or whatnot, but you mention it. Anticipated problems and probability of occurrence. If they see something over the hill, talk about it in that section. If they don't, fine. And then I thought, I labeled it like existing equipment analysis. You talk about repair, replacement of stuff this year, computers, desk, window, whatever. You have to do it this year or whatnot, or within the next 2 years, something that would impact your budget. Now, I know with the looking forward thing, there should be some information on that. So you might not put something on in a discussion, and you might. And then the other thing I was thinking about was personnel level. How does the department look? Do we have the right number of people, or it looks like we might be needing someone else for some other issue? Maybe not this year, but maybe in the next year. And I mean, you're talking 1 or 2 sentences in terms of what they feel. The other thing I have is what I call previously funded projects not yet completed.
Yeah.
Okay? We got projects that we got the money or had the money, we didn't do the damn job, right? How much money did we spend? How much do we have left? And can we finish the damn thing with the money we already got? Because when I'm thinking about the budget of somebody, if the same people that's in his budget are gonna be doing work at the same time, and they got money already here, this year's budget's gonna be less. Everybody gotta be someplace. So, just, I don't know if that's true for everybody, but we know of one case where that's true. I don't know how to handle it, maybe we have to do that on a personal level. But right now, we're sort of being asked to try to, meet with these people and decide on how much to do, and we don't know what the hell's going on in most of those
Yeah, so
places.
you're basically looking for more of like a number attached to what planned work is
Yeah,
proposed.
yeah, I mean,
Reoccurring
Well-
versus one time.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Other than
like
operational budget is one thing, and then,
Right.
yeah, the extra. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a sales job, okay? In other words, I've had to do that in the past, why do I have to pay you? Well, you gotta tell them why. This is telling us why. Here's why you need me, here's what we're doing, and whatever. And just so we get a kind of warm, fuzzy feeling about what they say there. I don't know what else how to put it, but the other thing is, we're gonna have a due date when it's due, right? Somewhere in here.
The calendar year.
Yeah, good, that's good.
When they
I think
come
that's all
in,
it is.
when they come in with their budget, not just give us a number. Give more what's behind those numbers.
What projects are?
Yeah, and what they're using that money for, rather than, and it's not micromanaging, it's just understanding what they're using it for.
Yeah.
Just, I'm one, in the budget presentation that I gave you guys, do you wanna see just the request numbers that come up, or do you want me to do a budget that says a request number and and basically a level funded budget, versus what a level funded budget would be, or a zero-based, but
Zero,
Ye-
yeah.
yeah, a
think so.
budget that we can afford. kind
There
of
you go.
thing.
That's what we
I
want.
mean,
We definitely
I
want
just
that.
know last year we did that, and I know that, I think that in that translation, there might have been missed some discussion of, what budget figures the finance committee supported and which ones they didn't.
Oh.
So, I mean, because those are just my recommendations to say,
Right.
hey, if we're
Yeah.
gonna meet a zero target number, here's my recommendations on how to get there. Well, you guys might have different funding,
Now, what
priorities
sheet
that I
do
do.
they get?
What's that?
What do they get that you hand them?
So I send them the letter, and
Yeah.
then they get a copy of it, they'll be getting a copy of the Excel spreadsheet that you guys get.
oh, okay.
They don't need what we see. is my feeling, you know, because you have, you know, your recommendation and that.
Right, yeah, I mean,
You know, if they
intent is
just
that-
get maybe what they spent last year for the year,
Right,
for
and
their budget,
What they should be doing
and
this
what
year.
they want, and then
Yeah.
we work from that and,
I mean, I would expect that if the number that they want next year
Mhm.
is significantly more than this year, I should see in the discussion why,
yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Let
what-
them come
what-
and explain
That's all.
why they're doing it,
Yeah.
and then we go back and discuss it with you at a meeting
Right.
and decide, well, this is what we decide what you,
I think
with you.
we're in a substantially better place this year than we were last year, because I mean, last year I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
really where we were at. The first round of the budget, it was, if I zero base everything out, we're still looking at $200,000 deficit, and then
Oh, yeah.
finally, at the end of the year, we
Yeah.
made everything work, and it came in pretty well. You know, running the quick numbers this year, and even adding in the $50,000
Yeah.
for the truck in hitting in 2020, and if we push if now we're not gonna end up voting on the truck until March, it's probably not gonna hit till 2021. I mean, with that 50,000, it's only $3,000 deficit, and that's with 2% COLAs across the board, while funding all services, and a 4% increase in the schools. So,
Well, I mean, the thing is that, in thinking about last year, it would be, I would feel more comfortable after we see the discussion and whatnot, of what the numbers, how it's going, all right? And
And then later
if we,
on,
yeah, then if we.
come up with a
Yeah.
sheet of
Well, then when we
Yeah.
meet
our
them,
own
Yeah.
sheets.
when
Yeah.
we meet them, we'll have a little
We'll
more
discuss
information.
it, discuss and know where
You can
they're
work it out.
coming from.
Yeah,
yeah,
But-
I'll try to make it more clear this year, that to show where the department requests are, and kind of where a zero-based budget
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah.
Because I think that might have been a little confusing last year, the way it was set up, because a lot of people were maybe looking at the number that I provided, but not really realizing the number next to it was the one that they were really asking for.
Right.
So,
But what I-
so people were saying, well, it wasn't supported, it was like, well,
Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah.
saying.
I think you gave them too much last year.
Yeah.
That's my
Too
feeling.
much information.
yeah.
Just give them, you know, their budget for, well, it has to be not 18, it would have to be 17, right? No.
18, yeah.
Yeah,
Finalization
18 because we're going to 20.
Yep.
Yeah. So it would be what they spent in 18 and what their budget was for 18, and then what they got in 19. Now what do they want in 20?
Right.
And that's
basically
all
those-
they really need.
That's all those numbers that were on that 5-year projection too, so it should be an easy transition.
Yeah. And that way, there won't be what you recommend or what we recommend or anything. That can be
Right.
discussed with them when they come.
Going back to an Excel sheet rather than the shared Google Doc will
Yeah.
hopefully take care of some of those issues where
Yeah.
people will see a number get posted and then come in and go, well, that's not the number I wanted.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Right, right.
yeah, and
Excel is much better.
Yeah.
it just threw a hell of a wrinkle in the whole system by going to that other thing
Yeah.
after all, that's all.
I
Say,
felt
we're
that,
back
I
on that.
myself felt like I didn't really know what was behind the numbers, or
Yeah.
if they were changing, or what was going on.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys have any issues with it this year.
Because, I mean, the thing
I'll
is-
try to address it.
Yeah, the thing is that, we see most of the people just one time,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
right? And so, if we don't understand why the number's bigger or something,
Hmm.
at least we start early enough,
Yeah,
we can clear it up on a one time
Right,
and have that work better.
very true.
in a lot of the budgets, you really don't. You know, it's very simple.
Right, that's right, I don't, that's why I was thinking, in this discussion, I know a lot of people don't like to write, but at some time, you really you gotta do something, and, part of the
I'll write it
deal.
for 'em if they tell me what they need.
Huh?
I'll write it for them if they tell me
Yeah,
what they need.
there you go.
That's not a problem.
Yeah,
I just need to know what they need.
And then I think your idea, Ted, about splitting in the finance, kind of each one
Well,
in the bigger,
yeah,
you
in the
feel
bigger
that's-
departments. to understand, you know, go to a couple of their meetings and
That's your stuff, right?
make more of a contact and be a face to them, not
Right.
somebody standing ready to slam the hammer down.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully we get a couple more members there to spread it out a little bit.
Yeah. Mark was in New York,
Yeah.
he said that.
What's the meaning of this? I don't understand this. Oh, that's Ted's? Ted, what is
What's
the meaning
that?
of this?
Oh, that's where the hell it went.
Oh,
I wondered what it was. No, I
Somebody
just wanna
passed it
talk
on.
You
about
had-
that. What I did was,
yeah.
I got 2 pages here, but what I did was I took the alphabetical order of the budgets
Mm-hmm,
and I put them on this sheet and how much the budget was.
mm-hmm,
Then I went over to this thing and I had Excel
mm-hmm.
put the number of the budgets first. So now they mixed up the names, but the most expensive budget's on the top. Okay?
Mm.
So this is how they were alphabetically. This is how they were in terms of the most expensive.
On the spreadsheet we're talking about,
Right,
how they were listed?
yeah, so what I'm saying is, so then what I did was, I said that if we decide to split up the accounts amongst different people, I call them job numbers. And for instance, the police department is the most budget, so that was job 1. Public safety, fire and ambulance 2. Highway 3, but part of highway is also
Yeah.
parks and commons
Trees.
and tree warden and whatnot,
Cemetery,
okay? Then you got,
Isn't cemetery under there now
Yeah,
too?
yeah.
could be cemetery, then you got the sewer and the water
Mm-hmm.
and the police dispatch. And then under the selectmen, they got a gazillion different accounts for their amount of money. But that way, if people had 1 or 2 jobs to worry about, you would just spend a little more time
Mm-hmm.
amongst the accounts, maybe even going to the meeting, like,
Mm.
you go to the streets and roads department meeting, so maybe one of us would
Mm.
go, sit there too and listen. All right, and someone would go to the Board of Assessors meeting maybe, or you go to Selectmen's meeting, and that way, we all learn a little bit more about what's going on.
Right.
And helps understand the
Understand
problems
what's
that
going on.
everybody's having in all
Yeah.
these boards. I mean, you know, nothing's easy. It's not
No.
easy to do all of that work. It's like anything else, it's a tough job. I mean,
Mm.
I saw the blue lights running Wednesday. I guess the road washed out down by the.
Yeah, we had a pretty significant washout.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, who figured that one, right? Someone got a call, hey, there's no road. Happened.
Thankfully, we caught it before there was really a significant drop in, yeah, it was noticed because the side of the road was starting to crumble
Yeah.
off, and they checked it out.
Police, yeah.
Somebody could have been, I mean,
Yeah, it could have
that
been a
happens
lot
at
worse.
night.
It could have been a
Yeah,
lot worse.
you
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
holding the ground, you just drive right into the damn.
Yeah, people seem to do that.
I think we averaged 2.75 inches per hour for
Mm.
about 3 hours straight of rain.
Amazing, so, really.
Not your typical storm.
No.
No.
You're still trying to catch up on some of the damage.
Yep.
A lot of damage.
What was going on at the new pizza thing there? The other morning I came through Wednesday morning, and the fire truck and the ambulance was there, and then tonight when it was earlier, about 4:00, 3:30, somewhere
Think,
around there.
Just tripping of the alarm system. I'm sure the new-
And
they're
they were
probably
all
upgrading.
there again. And I'm thinking, what's going on?
Yeah, alarm system response,
Oh.
yeah.
And when
We're
the
still trying
alarm
to
goes
figure it
off,
out.
they have to,
Yes.
the
Gotta
fire
go.
trucks
Gotta
and
go.
everything?
Something's wrong. It might be a
Yeah.
false alarm, but it's that one time that you don't think it's.
Now, didn't I hear at a selectmen's meeting, there's so many false alarms they can have and then they get billed for it? Is that it?
Yep.
Yeah.
There is. I think it's 3.
3, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was that.
3 within a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 in 1 year, yeah. With the exception of that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That
I
is-
really feel we should start.
There's a lot, in-
Yeah, so do I.
Uh,
a lot less than 11.
that was, I brought,
From the battle.
I've got all the copies of the letters from 2 Stetson and from Stetson. And the last one they got back That was awful,
What?
that last letter
Oh, that last letter, which is
that was
doozy.
sent, yeah.
Who, they wrote it?
They
Their
answered the
lawyers-
selectmen.
Their lawyers wrote it.
Yeah, their lawyer wrote
Oh,
it.
it's not their fault, is that what they said?
Oh, they've done all kinds of things for us, wonderful things
Oh.
for us. That was from their lawyer. I couldn't believe it.
You got anything else on the agenda?
Unless you guys had anything.
Next meeting?
No,
The only thing I wondered
Mhm.
on was, and they were talking about the senior center with Hardwick and that, and I was reviewing notes, and it said something about setting up a revolving fund for Hardwick, so the money they paid
So
would
there
go
was-
into the
right.
revolving?
So there was some discussion about that, but I think the way that we have the budget set up now, and the
Yeah.
fact that we compensate for their contribution by increasing the budget, I don't think that that's necessary at this point. I think when we were talking about first setting up that
Yeah.
account and taking it in the same fiscal year, was either you change the budget or you set up a revolving account. Now we've adjusted the budget, probably shouldn't set up, but, it's probably unnecessary to set up a revolving.
so there's a line somewhere, the money we get from Hardwick.
Right, it's
It goes
basically-
into the general
It
fund.
goes into the general fund, and then we supplement, or we increase the budget in kind at the town meeting to recognize that
For-
that
yeah.
supplemental income.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But one thing I was, that we've been discussing is that, the $7,500 that was used in the initial grant was just kind of a number that was pulled out a year.
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a little bit more of a consideration of what goes into the assessment. And I had, talked with Eileen on how to do it, and I think that the best way to move forward is to base it off of a percentage of the, when you first walk into the senior center, there's like kiosk, you have to sign in to the kiosk in order to get into the senior center. It tracks the town of which the person that's signing in is from. So if you take a year's worth of data from January to December, right before you set the budget, you say, here's the percentage of Hardwick people, here's the percentage of Berry people, split the budget in that sense, and you said to Hardwick, of our operational budget that we're proposing, this would be your contribution based off of your usage of the facility.
Sounds fair.
So I think that the boards of selectmen still have to meet, amend the IMA to add in that provision, and then hopefully get it finalized by the beginning of budget season. So
Yeah.
we'll see. That's the goal for it.
That makes sense.
So the next meeting,
The second or third October, Thursday. So either the 11th or the 18th. I would suggest the 11th,
okay.
just in case they move the town meeting date.
11th of
Yeah, yeah,
October.
yeah.
Oh, 11th of October?
11th of
Yeah.
October.
Ooh, I'm going to Hershey.
All
That's car
right,
show.
next week.
18.
Next week. 18th.
18th?
Yeah.
So your next meeting is the 11th?
18th.
18th, they
Yeah,
just
I'm
changed
already
it.
wrong.
Well, we just
We
changed it.
just changed it, Tom.
What?
They just changed it.
Hmm?
The Hershey show was on the 10th to the 12th, Charlie.
Mhm.
And what's that?
Candy bars. Gotta get everything.
That's, no, that's the car show they have down there, yeah.
Yeah,
You see photos of various cars, you will see real ones down there like that. For millions of dollars or whatever,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, we're hoping that meeting, what we'll do is we'll finalize the budget, let me know what
Yeah.
your comments are before then, so I can try to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
a draft of you guys that is best.
we can each get that,
And
yes.
then we could possibly get the budget message out a month earlier than we did last year.
Wow,
That's a good idea too, yeah.
super.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my thought, the first thing, to get that letter out, nose out.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay.
Okay.
Aye, aye,
Aye,
aye.
aye, 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 aye.
Thanks for coming, Charlie.
Thank you,
What?
Charlie.
Thanks.
Charlie,